down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the savvy landlord as your host.
Oh, shucky ducks. Now, I'm on top of the interview deal. Why? I don't know, but I'm so excited. So a couple of months ago, and I'll reference these episodes in the show notes, but I'm actually making some extra cheddar cash from this person that I'm about to interview. Yep, his name is Matt Blagg. How old are you?
22.
22 years old. Wow, 22 years old, and I'm giddy because this guy has transformed my life in a way that I can't even articulate or explain. I'm going to try to explain it, but it's been so powerful since the one time I met this guy. And, I don't know if you know this, but I've been working on my coaching, and I've been coaching for a long time. A lot of people don't know that, but I've been coaching for, 6 to 10 years. And it's been a rough beginning because I thought I was Anthony Robbins and I would curse at you and motivate you, right? But when I met you, Ethan Blagg, not Matt, but Ethan Blagg, I was transformed by an experience. And so this book that I just finished reading called Prosperous Coach, it talks about when you meet with people, you give them an experience. And did you know that every time that I've met you, it's been an experience, and that experience has made me want to meet with you more. So I know that's weird. I just threw that out there. But here, this is how I met this guy. And this is going to blow your mind. So his dad is one of my clients. And Matt Blagg is it's an honor to just be a part of this gentleman's life. His success as a musician and as a real estate investor has been profound. I haven't put him on the show yet. I've actually talked about him several times, but in code, but people don't know. And it's been an honor just to know him and what he has been done. And then one day he's like, bro, I am going out of town. Would you mind meeting with my son? And I was like, whack, whack, like, I get it. You paid for the session and like throw this. I'm like, okay, tell me about, he owns a couple of companies. How old is he? He's in his 20s. He lives in Stillwater. I'm like, this dude's going to drive an hour and a half to come hang out with the VanCauwenbergh. I'm like, okay, if this poor little child wants to meet me. And I was not intimidated, but I was like, man, how is this conversation going to happen? What are we going to talk about? Like I talk about money and all this stuff with his dad. What am I going to say to him? Should I expose his dad? I was just like, I had this weird inclination of, sure, I'll meet with your son. And so I was like, maybe he's got an addiction, or maybe he's overweight. Maybe there's something wrong. Maybe I can transform this guy. And it turned out to be a several hour experience that changed my life. And what that experience was like, that this child, this 22-year-old sitting in front of me, blew my mind that he's making hundreds of dollars a day online selling garments, products. And he just within 15 minutes, he shared about 10 websites that blew my mind, that just increased my business already. So if you go back to these episodes, I'm going to label them or mention them in the notes about how I got t-shirt design on the open market, and passively I've designed about 10 shirts so far, and I've made about a couple $100 just by putting these shirts online. I'm not even in touch them. So I outsourced the design, came up with the concept. They're in the market, and people in all around the country, the world, even, I don't know if you knew this, Ethan, that I made it on Amazon. So I have shirts on Amazon.
Nice. That
are selling. And all because of you, because you did it. And I'm like, this little punk little kid can effing do this. I can do this. And so as soon as I met with you, I sat down, did these 3 podcasts. And I really did these podcasts for another dude that can't make money. And I'm like, dude, money's everywhere. It's flowing like crazy. You're just uneducated. And so I met with you. You educated me within an hour. I took that 1 hour of your moment of your life in my life to teach this other child to be a better, and he still hasn't done it. And I've released 10 shirts since then. So folks, that's all I know about this kid. So that's why, man, when I was stoked when he left, I'm like, one day I'm going to expose him. Folks, if you've ever figured out where I learned from millennials. So That was the weirdest intro all over the place, but I'm sitting in front of a real entrepreneur. I'm sitting in front of a real millennial, 22 years old, changing the world, and we're going to talk about being an entrepreneur. We're going to talk about that he has 2 businesses that are successful. He started in Oklahoma. Were you born in Oklahoma?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. And you have 2 businesses, and I guess we'll just talk about this. We'll just talk about them random. So just tell us, how in the world did you become an entrepreneur? I mean, like at 22 years old, people are trying to figure out that who they're going to date, what beer they're going to drink, what Fortnite episode or how much money they want to invest. And you're out there killing it. And I even know a client that you represent today is successful just from one of your businesses. So how'd you get here?
So I really believe that scattered around us, there are purebred entrepreneurs that grew up that way, that, you know, it's in their blood, it's in their genes, and they can't do anything about it. They can't keep a job because they're going out there innovating, coming up with new ideas.
I agree with that.
So it's the stereotypical story for me. I had, before I even knew what money was, I was trading things with my friends, orchestrating deals, swapping toys or, you know, Game Boy games or whatever. Then once I started to understand what money was, like, oh, I can go buy stuff with this. This is cool. It's just like trading. So I had the lawn mowing business that did pretty well as a kid, the lemonade stand, playing drums with my dad. I figured out how to make money with that. And I think from a pretty early age, I understood the concept of value, that when you're trading something with someone else, it's just an exchange of value. That's all it is. So when you're trading money for a product or a service, it's just trading value. And then as an entrepreneur, what you're in charge of is creating value for the world, and people pay you for it. And
well said.
When you get paid, it's just an exchange of value. So I think that is something I understood pretty early on. It's really helped me in my entrepreneur career. Yeah.
Dude, you just started, homeboy.
So
how did you know that you were an entrepreneur? Because, like, I mean, I'm 45, so I'm twice your age, and I've struggled with this. I call it a disease because some people call it ADD. I think ADD is BS, but I don't want to get into that. And of course, I have no data to support that. But I had Ritalin as a child, but I've constantly in my mind, I'm constantly creative, thinking of ways to make money, not to be fleshful so I can go buy a Lamborghini, but I just think that it's an innate ability as an entrepreneur. But I even to this day seek, when I go to the bookstore, I look for entrepreneur books. I'm constant because I get affirmation when I read these books. I'm like, dude, I think just like that. Like Jeff Boaz. I mean, like Microsoft. Like, I love it. The dude bought the code.
Yeah. You just find out that you're not a crazy one, that there are other people like you. Like, oh. Wow.
So, and that's probably why we should meet and why we meet often. But when was there a defining moment for you? Like, when you were like, oh, okay, I can do this?
About 8 years old.
All right. Tell me about the experience. Now, has your dad always been an entrepreneur? He's always had a job, though, right?
My dad and I are similar in some ways, but I'm wired a lot differently than he is.
Because he's part entrepreneur, because he's in a band and he performs. He has records out.
Yeah. So I'm I don't know. Have you ever taken a Myers-Briggs personality? Yes. So my dad is a ENFP, which means he's a campaigner. He likes rallying people together around an idea or a concept, making people feel like they're a part of a team. And I'm an INTP. I'm introverted. Very logic-driven, and the stuff I do is very strategic. I think in terms of structure or components or pieces and break things down and see how they all work together. So I think just in that nature, I'm like primed to be an entrepreneur. It works great, just how I think and how I process information.
So how'd you get confirmation? Like at 8 years old, I mean, did you know that going into college? You always hear about, I always wanted to be a firefighter. Or I always wanted to be, I've never heard somebody say, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. At 8 years old, they don't even know what that means.
Yeah. So I remember I had a conversation. We were at my grandparents' house and all my family was there, and they were asking me, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? It's like, I want to own some hotels and do this and this and that. And it's like, I don't want to have a job and I don't want to wear a suit when I grow up.
Right on.
And that's been true ever since I can remember thinking. It's pretty much, I've been formulating all these business ideas since I was like 6 or 7 years old.
Okay, no. So your dad has been in real estate for a while. I'm not really sure how long. When did he expose you to, the word hotel, or obviously came from somewhere? Did you help him work on houses? Did you help him see him transactions? Tell me about that connection there.
I understood that even before he started doing real estate.
Okay, good.
Honestly, I don't know where I passionately curious is me. I'm always observing, asking why. I was that annoying kid that always asks, he's like, why this, why that, why that?
That's my son. Which I like that, though.
Yeah. And
some people may not, but I do.
It served me well, just always taking in lots of information and figuring out how this fits with that. Connecting the dots, I guess is what I call it. So see how A connects with Z and all the things you can do in between.
Okay. So you went to college. What's, being an entrepreneur, did you graduate?
I went to college without the intention of graduating. I knew that I wasn't going to graduate.
So you haven't?
I haven't. I dropped out.
Amen.
And the reason why I went to college,
I hate college,
in my mind, despite what I told my parents or family, was to network, and it was a great environment to start a business because I had
plus recruitment. Let's get into that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome. So let me pause right there. So you knew your family thinks you're going to go to college and be somebody.
Yeah.
Whatever somebody means, but in debt in my mind. But I don't want to get into it. So you told them, "Hey, I'm going to go to college," but in the back of your mind, you're going there to network.
Yep.
To build a business.
Yep.
And what I really admire you is that the staff and the team that you've developed, was that intentional as well?
Yep.
All right. Tell us more about that.
So I went to college. A little more background before I went to college. It'll be quick. I went through the Francis Tuttle VOTEC for pre-engineering. Went to nerd school. It was awesome. Loved it. And I learned a lot about how to think and process information like a scientist. So you come up with a hypothesis, you go test it, and you observe and figure out, does this work, does this not work? And the other big thing that I got from that was the goal is not to be right, but to be less wrong over time. So it's always being curious and trying to stress test your ideas and see where the weaknesses are all the time. Less
wrong all the time. I just read about Thomas Edison, the struggle that he had with the filament, and thought he found it with platinum, and 1,000 times that he was wrong, but the one time that really matters.
Yep.
Interesting.
So I went into college. I had some decent scholarships. Most of my expenses were paid for.
Because you're an engineer mind.
Yeah.
Did you declare engineering as a?
As actually marketing.
Okay.
So one of the biggest discoveries, personal development discoveries, was figuring out the underlying reason why I liked all these certain things. And I asked myself why like 7 or 8 times. Why do I like engineering? And I asked why this, why that, why that, why that. When you ask yourself why 7 or 8 times, you get down to the root cause of why you like that thing. I liked marketing. And I was like, why do I like marketing? Why do I like business?
Because it's results driven, maybe?
What it came down to is I like the process of building things. Ever since I was a kid, when I'd play with Legos as a kid, I would just sit down. I could sit on a floor and play with Legos for like 8 hours straight just because I enjoyed building.
Cool.
I didn't care what I built, Once I built it, I'd probably tear it apart and build it again,
Yeah.
So that's, I think, the core thing that I enjoy about business is I enjoy the process of building, coming up with ideas and putting it together.
Awesome. So let's go right into the process of building. You have 2 businesses. Tell us about those and what they do.
Sure. So whenever I put together my team, which I found them in college, which was intentional. I went into college trying to find team members, people I can work with.
Savvy. That's savvy. That should be like a T-shirt. Savvy, savage.
Savvy.
I mean, seriously, you went to school to recruit people.
Yeah.
And they just see you as a peer.
Yep.
But behind the it's like Wizard of Oz. You have a plan, structuring, and you're developing as you're there, right? I mean, because we've chatted about that before about how do I handle equity? How do I handle opportunity for a staff member? I get it, right? I remember that.
So there's this, in my mind, this idea that I've been formulating since I'm 8, and it's this big company. I've always been inspired by like very large, maybe even fictional technology companies, seeing like Wayne Enterprises from Batman or Stark Technologies from Iron Man. I've always been inspired by that because it's this massive machine, so to speak, and they pump out technology that changes the world. And that's the thing that really inspires me. So this business that I have going, it's like my most logical path to get to there.
To the
have
big
this
business.
Yeah, to have this massive machine that does big technology that changes the world.
I'm going to give you affirmation. I have the same thing going in my mind. I have this new business that I started that would lead into another business or complement another business. But like the big business is out there, and these are steps that we're getting to get to this big business.
Yeah.
And we need this business to get to this business.
Exactly.
Or it helps that big business.
So
Cool.
I broke down kind of all the things that I think it's going to take to have this big business, broke them down into little modules, so to speak, like all the different components.
The end in mind.
Yeah, the different components of this engine. So we're building all the pieces, and then eventually we'll put all the pieces together.
Okay.
So the first business that we started was the one that we actually had the skills that we could start, that we could bootstrap, really, really simple and stuff that we thought we could do well, and that was marketing.
Okay.
More specifically digital marketing, 'cause we're young, we understand it well.
You're millennial. They just accept you.
Exactly. And we could go out and just walk down the street to a mom and pop shop and say, hey, you need to be on Instagram, and we'll help you do that.
What's that name of that business that you have?
That one is called Hub Creative.
Hub Creative. And what's the domain name people can Google you up or find you?
It's spelled HUUB. I think it's actually
HUUBCREATIVE.com.
Yeah, correct.
Hub Creative.
Hub Creative. And really, the reason that business exists is to work with brands to help them build an emotional connection with their audience. And we provide services that help them do that. So,
which I saw your customers, like you do video to capture their intention, and then you're very strategic.
Yeah.
And it's through social media.
It is.
Or print, or is it all
whatever
of it?
will work for the brand. So every brand is different. They have different needs. They have a different audience. And chances are their audience is always in different places.
Now, I know that you have some claim to fame as a creative guy. But at 22 years old, do they just assume that, what is it like dealing with a business owner like myself, 45, intimidating, I'm going to crush you, and then you're this 22-year-old punk kid, like charging thousands of dollars. Is there fear there? How do you deal with that?
There was in the beginning. I was like,
people are paying you thousands of dollars because of an idea that you have.
Yeah. It still baffles me. In my mind, when I walk into a meeting and I have to have my serious face on and I'm dressed in jeans and a t-shirt and these dudes are wearing suits, and, I'm just like, yeah, it'll be, $5,000. And I keep a straight face. And I'm like, oh, this kid's serious, like, wow. And I found that more oftentimes than not, the older business owners, and I say older, not even that old, but older than me, is they really respect the young hustle. I'm out there doing stuff, right, and I'm making it work, and I'm not just, sitting around playing video games all day and eating potato chips.
All right, so that's Hub Creative. So you do marketing, branding, and PR.
Yeah.
And you have a team of staff for that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And so now you actually started that way first, and you changed the name of the company to give us some background.
So we rebranded. Like I told you, there's two businesses. There's Brekker and
spell that one.
BREKER.
BREKER
.io. There's not a website. Think of that as where it's in the shadows. It's not.
Okay, so that's not like where someone visits.
No.
Okay.
Right now, that's a holding company.
Okay. And so what does Brekker do now?
So Brekker is...
Ooh, my bad.
Business construction. So we come in and build systems and processes for these businesses we're starting, get it some initial momentum and traction, then we set up a team to take that momentum and run with it. So over the past, we've been in business...
business development?
Business development.
Like, give me an example.
So we've been in business for coming on 2 years. We initially started with my Brekker team. We started providing services, marketing services, branding services, and we built out all of the systems and procedures for this business, so it's all structured and nice. Like I could hand you like a a pamphlet, like this is how you run this business, like step by step
system, which
exactly.
is pure entrepreneur.
Yeah. So that's what we've been developing for really the last year and a half, and we got momentum, traction. The business is growing, growing naturally, and now we're at the
Through
point.
referral.
Yeah, referrals, and we have a nice sales machine. And now we're at the point where we're building that team that's going to take that business and run with it. So we are recruiting for Hub. We have 2 people already, and we're about to hire 2 more, kind of that initial team that's going to take that business and run with it.
Cool.
And then my Brecker team will move on to the next business and the next business and copy, paste, repeat.
Now, you stayed in Stillwater, right? And so you chose OSU to get started in your endeavor. And then I'm in Oklahoma City, so I'm an hour away. You live in Stillwater.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what's your sights next? Are you taking on, like, moving to a metropolitan? Tell us more about, like, a vision or a goal or a dream.
So we are moving to Dallas early 2019, mainly because there's bigger opportunities. It's easier to get connected with new money. There's a bigger technology scene down in Dallas.
They accept it more.
Exactly. Oklahoma City is great, and it'll always be in my heart, and it's growing. There's some cool stuff happening here.
And your family's here.
Yeah, of course. But it's a lot of older money here in Oklahoma City.
True. Well said.
Yeah.
All right. So we're about 20 minutes in. We got about 5 or 10 more left. So we're going to wrap this up. Advice for another 22-year-old or a young entrepreneur or someone thinking about going on their own. What advice would you give them?
Step 1 is becoming self-aware. So understanding what your talents are, what your weaknesses are, and understanding, like I said before, the reason why you like certain things. Like, what is your one thing that you can be the best in the world at?
And in this case, is building.
Yes.
So if it's building a business, so it's like me. I have a similar love for that. I like to see that, hey, I started that business and I sold this business and that business is doing well. It's doing better than when I built it. It's just I get more satisfactory than getting a payday. Okay, cool.
So that's my thing.
So self-awareness.
So
even at 22, how do you find that? I mean, these kids are. I was talking to a 27-year-old the other day, and he was like, "Man, basically, it's time to wake up." I mean, you're right on the right point. You're ahead of the game. How did that come into fruition? Knowing that there's greater than the immediate gratification of games, relationships. What advice? How could you get someone to have self-awareness?
I think it comes down to thinking about your thinking. So
what goes in?
Yeah, and just you have a thought. You're like, okay, where did that thought come from? And everyone has these. They're limiting beliefs that you have. There are deeply rooted beliefs that you have that have been there since you were a child.
From society, from parents?
From parents, society, whatever, growing up. And chances are there's like 2 or 3 that are really holding you back. And you have to identify those, and I call it confronting the boogeyman. You have to go in, think about that thought, and you have to confront the boogeyman, confront that limiting belief, and I guess slay the boogeyman. That's what you have to do. Otherwise, you're going to be capped by that limiting belief.
Awesome. Now, did you get any assistance in this? I mean, are these conversations that you've had with another friend, gentleman, someone that has...
I think sometimes when you are aware of your thinking or your habits, I've learned a lot from other people. See other people doing things like, it's like, am I like that? And it gets you kind of thinking about what do you do, how do you act, how are you with other people? I think it just comes back to curiosity, just being curious about why this, why that.
A side note, when I asked about when your dad told me to not spend time, but he was like, hey, so I was like, tell me about him. And, it was very bizarre how your dad expressed how gnarly you were. Like, of course, my son is the best football player at 8 years old. I'm like, but he couldn't even articulate And I didn't understand, like, until I met you, I was like, wow. No, and I actually went back and talked to your dad, and I was like, man, you're right about your son. He's more than, he basically, he didn't, I can't remember what he said, but he's way more successful than I'd ever become or who I am. And I thought that was very incredible, because most men have this huge pride. Like, he is who I am because of me. No. Your dad's like, I am becoming better because of what Ethan is doing in my life, and just you helping him with his business has been paramount to him. All right, we'll leave it there. What books? I'm assuming you're a reader, because you had this little backpack, and we're talking. The first thing you pulled out was a book, which was really cool, called Biology, B-U-Y, like ology, why people buy. So, what books have really impacted you, or what are you reading now, or have just recently read that has motivated you?
Some of the most recent ones that I got a lot of value from, one was Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. He's a ex-Navy SEAL, a master on leadership. That book really...
What is it called again?
Extreme Ownership.
Okay.
By Jocko Willink.
Okay.
Another one was Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Yes.
Talks about negotiation and... I don't know, communication, I guess, is really what it comes down to. That one has made me a lot of money.
Yeah. I'm a big fan.
I'm trying to think of others.
No, those are good.
Yeah. And another one that I love is The Greatest Salesman in the World by O.G. Mandino. Mm-hmm. That one's a short read. It's kind of in a parable format. And that one, whenever I get down or... as a salesman, you're either on top of the world or you're like, this is the worst thing ever. Why did I ever pick this?
Why did I do this?
Yeah, it's one or the other. And that book always kind of gets me back on my feet.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to talk about, I got two things for you, and we're going to wrap this up. One is your goals. So another one is like a daily routine. I think that a CEO of a company with employees and staff members, how do you stay? Let's do the routine first. I don't know why, but and then we can go big on the goals. But I have a routine that I follow. Tell us about what your routine is. Is it books, reading, exercise, food? I know that you introduced me to millennial food. What was it? Gogi Go.
Yeah.
Korean barbecue.
Great place.
Yeah, I've been there several times, and I ran into you there. But which was great. I would have never have gone there. I'm a habitual person. Like, I have a routine. Like, I usually tend to only order the specific meal. So how do you get out of your comfort zone, or how do you stay in your comfort zone? Or we don't want comfort zones, but tell us about your daily routine. What's a typical day, or how do you function in the week?
So I'm a creative person, and I'm a night owl. So
me coming here early in the morning
here early this morning was a stretch for me. I'm usually up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, you're those guys.
I'm one of those guys. And that's when I'm like extremely productive. I'm in the zone. Nobody's trying to call me or talk to me. I'm just in the office. I love music. I have like big kicking sound system and some cool lighting in our office. I'm just in there vibing, getting some work done.
Cool. So ambiance, atmosphere, and who are you around is a good thing.
Yes.
Very important to you.
And like I said before, I'm an introvert, and I'm an introverted thinker. So I like to be alone. That's when I'm most productive.
Okay.
So I'll be in the office at like 3 o'clock in the morning, just getting
Even
a lot of
though
work
that
done.
you're a super drummer and played on tons of stages.
Yeah.
You're an introvert.
Yeah.
So you're that guy that would play and walk off the stage.
Yeah.
And no one would know who you were.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's fine with me.
Yeah, that's cool.
But back to my routine, I really believe that the way that you start and end your day is extremely important, and how productive you are, and just the health of your life mentally and physically. So in the morning, I'll wake up. I try not to check my phone right in the beginning, 'cause, you might get some bad text or something that just ruins your day, puts you in a sour mood for the whole morning.
Someone didn't pay, or someone canceled, or some dumbness.
So I usually don't check my phone for the first 45 minutes or so. I just kind of leave it there. And I've been on a cold shower kick.
Oh,
so
I haven't done that.
It really, if you don't have something where you just have to man up and do it, and starting your day that way, you're like, just get it done. Mind over matter, mind over body, just hop in there and get it done.
So you just awaken.
Yeah, and that'll wake you up real quick, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So I usually take a cold shower, get dressed. I wear the same clothes, not the same exact clothes, but
Similar.
the same outfit. I wear jeans and a black T-shirt and Vans.
Okay,
So I don't
Steve
have
Jobs.
I don't have to think about it. Just wake up, same. Oh, I'm wearing
One less decision.
jeans
A lot
and
of
a
people,
T-shirt.
that's one thing. Hey, ladies out there, I come home and I don't want to make another decision. That's all I did all day was making decisions. Should we spend money? Should we not spend money? Should we say? Should we? Decisions as an entrepreneur. Ladies out there,
So-
make decisions for your man.
As an entrepreneur and a CEO more specifically, I'm in charge of making good decisions. And I can't do that if I don't have good sleep, if I'm not healthy, if I'm not eating right. It really hampers my decision-making ability. And having to deal with minute tasks and tedious things really hampers my ability to make good decisions, have a clear head.
Awesome.
So each day I try and meditate. I've been meditating recently. I thought it was the weirdest thing, and I was totally against it until I gave it an honest shot. And I have to say that's one thing that's helped keep me grounded, keep me centered. I can think clear. My thoughts are more organized. It's really helped me. So I try and do that at least 20 minutes, and I try and block out at least 30 to 45 minutes each day just to sit down and think. I turn my phone off,
Cool.
sit down, get in my own head, and think.
Awesome.
And that really helps. And then I usually work out I do strength training 3 times a week. That really helps.
Awesome.
But I start my day, cold shower, getting grounded in my thoughts. I have some affirmations that I say out loud to myself.
That's big time right there, man. That's in my
and then
life
just-
right now.
Yeah, and just getting grounded in my vision. So if I ever get down or get caught up in the day-to-day too much, I have to take a zoomed-out look at why I'm doing what I'm doing in the big picture.
Well, just one thing I read yesterday about Patton, the military guy, why his platoon or why he was so successful. Boiled it down to this: he was the only guy that made his platoon or his soldiers run a mile every day. He believed, and he said mental. He made them run a mile every day and read the Bible. But I never knew that. I watched Patton and all this stuff, but it was the physical and the mental, and people. It was apparently an honor to surrender under Patton, and it was boiled down to the exercise and the mental, the meditation.
Yep.
Because when you read the Bible, you got to kind of slow down and think
Yep.
about it. You can't just do okay. And sometimes I do that. Oh, great, Matthew 5:5. But all right, so let's end this. Big goals, because we're going to bring you back on the show one day. Anyway, you tuned into the Savvy Radio Show. I don't know if I said that, but it doesn't really matter. But give us a goal. What are you striving for? Is it an economic goal, taking over the world? Tell us, what's something that you want to see achieved you can do in a year, 5-year, 10-year, lifetime.
5-year, 10-year.
Or a lifetime.
So for me, the big thing that drives me is building a machine, a business machine, that is capable of producing technology that benefits the whole entire world.
Cool.
Brings value to the whole world.
I just met this guy.
So
I need to hook you up with this dude I just met.
okay, let's do it.
Yeah, sorry. But he just made a technology. He was a project manager for DOD that created a weapon that they're using today that's changing the world. That's the guy you need to hang out with.
Would love
And
that.
he's your age. He's 27.
Love it.
Yeah, I can't wait. Okay, sorry.
So
you want to create something that people are using that benefits their life in the form of technology.
And I believe that is my calling. I feel like I have these very gifted talents, and
Yeah,
I feel
I already
like
know those.
that's the biggest
You do.
the biggest thing that I could use those for. It's like, what is the biggest thing that I could build that would utilize my talents and
It's awesome.
all this technology, all these ideas. It's not for my own benefit. It's for providing this to the world.
That's why we're
what I
homeboys.
want to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, 22 years old. Your dad, your family, your sister, your mom. I mean, I'm just enamored by who you are and just what comes out of your mouth. I mean, if you, ladies, gentlemen, I hope that this episode was inspiring to you, that wherever you're at any age, you can live the lifestyle that you've designed. This child right here in front of me has designed this life, and it's just inspiring. So, Ethan, where's there an email that you could share? I mean, I know that like-minded people, someone just heard this episode and was like, damn, that's me. Or I'm going to hook you up with this 27-year-old that needs to hang out with you. Yeah. And because iron sharpens iron. You know, I just remember one time that I met you has provided a couple of $100 in my life. I mean, just you were so authentic and like, use this website. This is how you connect the two. This is what I do. I do this, and this is why. That's how I operate. I just give. And you giving just that 30-minute lesson of whooping me, and I was just in awe, has just funded $200 to my family. I mean, hopefully people still continue to buy shirts. I don't know. It's not a goal of mine. But is there an email address that you would share?
It's Ethan, ETHAN, at hubcreative.com, HUUB creative.com.
All right. Well, folks, you know his email. Give Ethan a shout out. Tell him that you're on the same page, that he's not losing his mind, that there's other like-minded people out there. And if you need to build your business in any way, creatively or brick by brick, Ethan's the man. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.